Here we go!
Why are you so fixated on me?
Because you're my friend.
Just give up and let me cut you down already!
What? Universal pool! Oh, bro, this looks so cool, man. I'm Kirinia, the lightning dragon. Okay, Indra's arrow. Bro, he's gonna kill him. Jesus! Ooh, bro. They're both gonna die. Yeah, they're both gonna die, aren't they? Is it a cliffhanger? Hello guys, welcome back to my reaction channel, and today we are again going to be doing something different. This is a continuation of my last video. I reacted to the Swagkage explaining the first Shinobi War, and this is the second clip explaining the second Shinobi War. Like I said, there's a lot of lore around these wars, like some characters are amped up and hyped up according to their feats in these wars, but we didn't get that much about these wars. And this guy, Swagkage, I kind of like his content because he does kind of jam-pack everything into one video. So if we were like, right, and he's very good at deducing some things based on the little information we get from the show. So right in the last video he derived that all the first Kage died at the ending of the first Shinobi War, like during the first Shinobi War, because right, so he came to logical conclusions based on the little information we got from the show. So I'm hoping he does the same in this clip, because I'm kind of curious, like the second Shinobi War, like, right? We don't know much about it, like, but hey, I'm here for it, so I'm not gonna blow this that much, you know the drill. If you enjoy my reactions, feel free to share, subscribe, like, leave a comment, ring the bell for notifications, guys, follow me on Instagram, join my Discord server, and my Patreon page, and without further ado, man, let's jump right into this reaction. There's actually another part about the third Shinobi War, logically speaking, so I'm probably gonna watch that later and post it tomorrow. So hey, let's just enjoy this one for now. Let's go.
Hey fellas, how's it going? Swagkage here.
Hello.
And today I'm gonna be following up on the promise I made in my last video to talk about the second Great Ninja War. Now, like with the first war, a lot about this conflict is up to interpretation, though there is a bit less room to read between the lines here, since we know a lot less about the time period that this war took place in. Fortunately, we are given a pretty rough idea of when the war took place, which is about 20 years after everybody signed the peace treaty that brought the first war to an end. Now, the thing is, it's a bit difficult to pinpoint where exactly that's supposed to be in Naruto's greater timeline, because we don't know how long the first war lasted. We know some things that help clear this up a little bit, but we're not given any concrete dates or anything, just major events and character deaths.
Yeah, because he said in the first video, Hashirama didn't succeed in stopping the war with the tail beasts, right? It actually raged on a lot longer than that, so we don't really know when it ended and when this other one began. We just know that it began, like he said, 20 years after. So hey,
this notable thing that happened during this war was the fight between Hanzo and the Sannin, and if we assume that these three were about 20 years old when this fight took place, then that would place this war roughly 30 years before the beginning of the series. Some of the war's other major events include the death of Sasori's parents at the hands of Kakashi's father Sakumo, the death of Tsunade's spouse Dawn, and the respective deaths of all of the Rain Village orphans' parents. Now, as far as things that we know 100% happened, at least according to manga canon, this is pretty much all of the important stuff. There's some filler that goes over some stuff that may have happened in this war, and it gets brought up in one of the movies, but like with all filler, it's non-canon, so I won't pay much attention to it. Now, there is quite a bit more about the second war to dig into, but like with the first, a lot of it is either inconclusive or not directly stated. For example, we're not even told which villages participated in this war. We know some, specifically the Leaf, Sand, and Rain villages, but everyone else is kind of up in the air. The Hidden Stone village was also probably involved, but I can't say for sure that they were. The closest thing we get to conclusive evidence that this was the case is a flashback where Nagato mentions being attacked by a renegade ninja who looks like he may be wearing a Hidden Stone headband, but again, he was a renegade ninja, so we don't know whether or not he was actually affiliated with the stone. Plus, this was a flashback, so Nagato may have been remembering it incorrectly. The ninja's allegiance is never actually stated, and the engraving on his headband isn't super clear. It definitely looks like the Stone Village symbol, so I think it's safe to say that they were involved, but this is the only sign we're given, at least as far as I can tell. Now later
but yeah, I mean, all these the Shinobi were known to fake the headbands to kind of implement other villages and all that, so we can't really take that at face value, but I guess what would they gain by tricking a couple of kids? So I guess maybe not. Yeah, the stone was definitely involved. Like, the Tsuchikage was definitely up to no good. What was the war? Like, which war was the one where the Hyuga clan was attacked? Right? And that whole Hyuga incident occurred, right? Where Neji's dad had to give up his own life because they said that we attacked him because when we defended, we killed one of their shinobi. So that whole mess started, right? And then, right? Like, when was that incident? Where did it occur? In between the wars? At times of peace? That's why Hiruzen was so desperate to, right, make sure it doesn't break the peace treaty or something like that? Tell me in the comments.
Same chapter, Nagato does mention a three-way conflict between the Leaf, Sand, and Stone villages, and even though he doesn't do anything to indicate that he's changed topics here, there's no way he could be talking about the second Great Ninja War, because over the course of this page and the next one, he explains that while the Akatsuki was working with Hanzo to bring this war to an end, the group was ambushed and Yahiko was killed. This could not have possibly happened during the second war, because Obito met with Yahiko after being rescued by Madara when he was nearly killed during the third Great Ninja War. So again, we don't know for sure who all participated in this war, but we can say with certainty that the Leaf, Sand, and Rain villages did, and that the Stone village was a very likely fourth party. We also know...
Okay, so, see? It's so mysterious. You get, like, he's really perceptive. Like, he takes bits and pieces and details and kind of conjures up these, right? Like, he's right. Like, it can't, because this contradicts that, and he comes to good conclusions. I agree, but the Stone definitely participated. Like, the Stone was definitely underhanded back in the day, well, even now in Boruto, bro, like where I am right now.
That the Rain Village shouldn't have been the only small settlement that ended up getting involved in this war. It's said that much of the fighting took place in small villages located between the five great nations just in general, not specifically in the Hidden Rain Village. That said, since it was literally in the middle of the only three nations that we know took part in this war, the Rain Village definitely suffered the most collateral damage and was almost completely devastated. This was
not only that, it gave birth to Pain, one of the best characters in my book. So I'm kind of grateful for that. Let's go.
Actually, supposedly the only reason the Rain Village participated at all. Now, the only person from the Rain Village that we know for sure actually did anything was Hanzo, and I'm pretty sure that it's entirely because of this guy that the Rain Village wasn't completely destroyed. Like, the fact that he was able to fight all three Sannin at the same time, and the only reason they survived was because he let them live, he's obviously got to be pretty strong. Now, to be fair to the Sannin, they probably weren't at their strongest when this fight happened, but Jiraiya should have at least known Sage Mode, since when he met Nagato, he was under the impression that the kid was the child of prophecy that the Toad Sage from Mount Miyaboku had told him about, even if you assume that the Sannin were all substantially weaker than they were when we were first introduced to them in part.
Yeah, that would still make Hanzo hella strong, and we saw him in the War Arc when he was reanimated. At first, he didn't hold back. He wasn't that strong, but he had poison here and there, that chameleon, right? But he wasn't that strong. But how the hell did he go up against the legendary Sannin, which he named, by the way, legendary Sannin? He gave them the nickname. How the hell did he, like, really? He almost killed all of them, right? Like, he's right. Jiraiya should have Sage Mode. Like, see those little details I'm talking about? So if Jiraiya had Sage Mode, like, he alone should have been able to smack that man. And plus, he had Orochimaru and Tsunade, Orochimaru being the genius in the group. And you're telling me that wasn't enough? Bro, Hanzo should have dominated in the War Arc then, but he wasn't that strong at all. He was, like, right? Like, he lost to a samurai. I mean, right? I guess he let him win, but still, man, that's...
It's still pretty impressive that Hanzo managed to fight all three of them at the same time. Something else that's fun to consider is all of the other people Hanzo may have come into contact with throughout this war. We know he and Chiyo fought a handful of times, and it's because of this that she was able to develop an antidote to his toxins. But we don't really know who else he fought aside from her and the three Sannin. It's totally possible that he had some run-ins with one or more of the Kage, since the villages don't really seem to have any qualms with putting their leaders on the front lines. While you could argue that maybe they stopped after how many Kage died during the first Great Ninja War, I don't think that's true, since we learned that during the third Great Ninja War, the third Raikage challenged 10,000 ninja all by himself. So in the event that the Kage did participate in this war like they did in the last one, and like they would in the next one, considering how much fighting took place in the Rain Village, I'd say it's really likely that Hanzo ran into at least one of these guys.
But what you just said about the Kage, like putting leaders on the battlefield, the Kage are war leaders, right? Like they're the Kage, like for battling, and the feudal lords are the ones that are really in charge of the lands, and they're never in the battle, right? So they're the top dogs, even though they're weak as hell. Like the Kage are just soldiers, like top soldier generals, but they still go on the battlefield. Makes sense.
You know about the first war. At this point, Hiruzen was definitely in charge of the leaf. Onoki should have been in charge of the stone, and the person leading the sand village. Well, at this point, that could have been any one of the first three Kazekage. We're not really sure. Now keep in mind, if Hanzo did fight Hiruzen or Onoki, during the second Great Ninja War, they wouldn't have been old, nowhere near as old as they were when we were introduced to them. Hanzo would have been going up against them in their prime. And while you could argue that these fights probably didn't happen because we would have heard about them if they did, it's still really fun to imagine that they may have. I feel like there's a reason, after all, that Jiraiya was shocked that the leader of the Akatsuki, the guys who have Itachi on their team, was able to kill Hanzo, and while it could have totally just been a result of his personal encounter with Hanzo, I also think it would make a lot of sense if it was because this guy had survived the fight against Prime Hiruzen or something equal.
Yeah, but wasn't Prime Hiruzen hailed in the data books to be the strong, like the god of Shinobi? He was praised to be even like above Hashirama, like he was like on that level, and we saw like he was compared to Hashirama, he was father in the anime. But lore-wise, he was like the god of Shinobi, like the professor. Like he was in his prime. It was said that he was the strongest Kage that ever lived by Orochimaru. It was said that in the OG Naruto, right? Even in the anime. So you're telling me Hanzo went up against him and survived even him? Like, how strong was Hanzo? Like, what are you talking about? Not only did he survive 3 legendary Sanin while Jiraiya was having Sage Mode, like, but also Prime Hiruzen? Yo, something doesn't make sense.
Crazy. There's nothing in the series that confirms or even really hints at something like this happening, but like I've been saying, it is fun to think about, and it's totally possible given what we know about Kage and their tendency to follow their village's troops into battle. Now, regardless of Hanzo's involvement and who he did or didn't fight, we don't really know how this war ended. Like I said multiple times, we don't even know who all participated in this war, much less how it affected those that did. But based on the way Nagato talks about it, to be more specific, when he's talking to Naruto, he refers to it as your Konoha Shinobi War. It seems like Konoha either initiated the war, won the war, or came out of the war pretty favorably compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
What may have given Konoha their advantage is also, of course, never stated, but I think we can pretty safely assume that Tsunade and Hiruzen had something to do with it. Based on how horribly outmatched all of the other villages were by just Minato, like by himself in the third Great Ninja War, I feel like it's safe to assume that Prime Hiruzen probably would have given everybody involved in this war a pretty hard time as well. Tsunade, on the other hand, practically revolutionized team building, and this probably gave Konoha a massive advantage. After Dan was killed, she suggested that every 3-man cell include a medical ninja. Not to mention her own skills as a medical ninja probably made a pretty big difference on the battlefield as well.
That's a fact, bro. And then later on, probably other villages started, right, implementing that as well, because the news reached everybody. But at that time period, it was a surprise because we were probably the only ones that did that. But regardless, if Onoki was, if the stone participated in this war as well, like Onoki was pretty OP. My man had particle stock, he was in his prime, no back problems, so Hiruzen clashing with him, that would be actually interesting. Prime Hiruzen against Prime Onoki. Yo, because Prime Onoki survived Madara. Of course, Madara was playing around with him, but still.
So in conclusion, it seems like, or it's at least reasonable to assume that the Leaf Village won the war or came as close to winning the war as anyone possibly could have, all things considered. We don't really know if or how the Cloud and Mist villages were involved or how the Stone and Sand villages were affected by this war, but it did seem to lay a lot of the groundwork for the next major conflict, the Third Great Ninja War. Next time I see you guys, that's what we'll be taking a look at, and hopefully there's a bit more to it than this one, because the second war was a little bare bones compared to the first.
Yeah.
Anyway, till then, take care, and as always, thanks for watching.
Okay, so that's it. Yeah, this is a short video. I guess he didn't have that much info or details to make a big video, but I still enjoyed it, right? There were bits and pieces there that made me think, that made me remember certain scenes and all that. But yeah, that Byakugan incident, was that for the third Shinobi War? Like, when did that happen? Or was that in between, in peaceful times, and that's why Hiruzen, right, offered one of the Hyuga members as sacrifices because he wanted to preserve peace, because those guys were adamant, right? Raikage wanted that war, man, wanted that conflict. But anyway, yeah, this was fun to watch. I'm gonna be watching the third part of this video, like you said, probably post it tomorrow. But hey, guys, tell me in the comments if you enjoyed this. This is fun. These sort of videos are fun. I might do another one character versus another character, because yeah, why not, right? We can debate in the comments, and you can yell at me, because I usually take a different side than you guys. But that's all to make it fun and, you know, encourage debate. But listen, guys, that being said, I really enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the reaction, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, love you, enjoy, and bye.